In Florida, the folks are starting to clean up the mess Hurricane Matthew left behind as it moves north into Georgia and towards South Carolina. Phil Keating is in Melbourne Beach between Vero Beach and Daytona. Phil?
John, up and down the barrier islands, the beach communities along Florida's Atlantic coast, tonight is a post-hurricane near total blackout in many neighborhoods. At many intersections, they've become four-way stops because the traffic signals are still not working. No reds, no yellows, no greens, but gradually and sometimes rapidly the electricity is returning. The power grid is being resupplied, and that is a big sigh of relief for Florida's most populous central and southern coastal communities, because this hurricane could have been far, far worse. So again, a big sigh of relief. Along the Treasure Coast in Florida, well, numerous boats took a destructive beating, sinking down into the water. Now, before Matthew struck over the previous 3 days, boat owners desperately tied up their vessels to moorings, marinas, even to trees on mangrove islands tucked away on the western side of the island. And believe it or not, afterwards, for most of them, it worked, and their boats were spared and saved. So by far, the number of lost boats, downed trees, and damage to buildings and homes was isolated and far from the widespread damage we would expect to see from a Category 4 cyclone, this being the first major hurricane to hit the state in 11 years. A much different story, though, up north, like Daytona Beach, New Smyrna Beach, and Jacksonville and beyond, where Matthew's eye wall passed far closer to land. Hurricane-force winds and significant storm surge ripping apart scenic A1A in Flagler Beach. Clearly, that's going to take a long time to fix and once again enable residents and especially tourists to take in some of Florida's most scenic drives. But again, far, far better than feared. Now, tomorrow, there still remains a lot of downed tree debris across front yards, stacked up along the streets. So even though many Floridians are very, very tired after a very long and loud howling night, they're going to have to spend Saturday and Sunday still doing a lot of work. But compared to what could have happened, John, and what was really forecast and expected with this Category 4, Floridians will take a weekend to clean up.
Yeah, keeping that eye offshore was a big part of the puzzle here. What about power? I mean, how long is it going to take to get everything back to normal there where you are?
Well, it appears to be taking far less time than it has in years past. I mean, in the past 11 years, since those devastating 2004-2005 hurricane seasons, Florida Power and Light and Duke Energy, the two major utilities that service Floridians, each invested billions and billions of dollars strengthening up their power grids in the state, burying lines as well as improving the security and the structural force that could be taken by the lines up on the poles. And so, let's say yesterday was tropical storm effects in Miami-Dade, hurricane effects in Palm Beach and Broward County. A total of about 25,000 to 30,000 people yesterday lost power, just 1% of the population, and that's quickly being restored. Now, the difference is, up the state, as you just mentioned, the eye wall closer to the coastline, bring in those hurricane winds, which extended 60 miles in all directions, further into the mainland. And so the forecast from the governor yesterday prior to Matthew's arrival was that, look, you may be without power for 3 days, 5 days, you're going to lose power, but you may also not have any electricity at your house for a week, maybe 2 weeks or more. So it's still a little early to assess exactly how long it's going to take for the utility crews to get back and restore things. But here in Melbourne Beach and next door at Atlantic Beach, just as we got here tonight at 6 o'clock p.m., we saw numerous intersections that were still not functioning. Light poles were down, exposed wires, and by 8:30 tonight, the utility cherry picker trucks had already come and gone, and lights were working, blinking, and getting back to normal. So those crews will be doing that up and down the coast. But there remains a lot of communities, especially up around Volusia County and further north, where the bridges are still closed to the public. Of course, utility teams will be some of the first to get in there to try to start restoring power for the grid when the population returns. But there is a lot of damage to those barrier islands that really still has yet to be revealed, John.
All right, Phil Keating joining us. Phil, thank you.